This is story of an intelligent and hard-working man who after failing in his professional life turned into a criminal. In 1990, after enduring increasing homophobia in Colorado, Michelle Abdil and Roxanne Ellis moved from Colorado Springs, Colorado, to Medford, Oregon. The couple met in Colorado, where Ellis, divorced with 2 children, worked as an obstetrics nurse. Abdil got a job in the same doctor's office, and they eventually became life partners. The couple started a successful property management business and were elected to the board of their church. They spent their spare time restoring their old craftsman-style house and visiting Ellis's 3-year-old granddaughter. They also worked as homosexuality activists. On December 4, 1995, Ellis, 53, went to an appointment with 27-year-old Robert A. Crement to show him an apartment. Police believed the appointment was made earlier that day. Ellis allegedly called her daughter, Lori, at 4 p.m. to tell her she was going shopping. Abdil, 42, left the office at 5 p.m. saying that she was leaving to help Ellis jump-start her car after receiving a call that the car would not start. Later, Ellis's daughter drove over to the apartment complex where her mother was going to show the apartment and saw her mother's pickup. She said it pulled away from her when she tried to follow it. Ellis and Abdil were not seen again until their bodies were discovered 4 days later in the back of Ellis's pickup truck, after a cable TV worker reported the vehicle to police. Both women had been bound and gagged, and shot in the head. The bodies were wrapped in drapes and covered by cardboard boxes. At the time of their murders, Ellis and Abdil had been together for 12 years. The discovery of the bodies caused concern in the local community. The couple's activism on homosexuality, and records of an earlier threat against them, roused suspicion that they had fallen victim to a hate crime. The nature of the crime, and the couple's activism, led to widespread publicity about the case. Police publicized a composite sketch of the suspect based on a description of a witness who had seen a man A. Crement park Ellis's truck and walk away. The media coverage of the murders reached A. Crement's mother, who had moved to Medford 3 weeks earlier with her son. Believing her son had committed the murders, A. Crement's mother put police on her son's trail after she saw a suspect sketch by Medford police artist in newspapers and on television. She called a police tip line and told police of her suspicion, based on her son's behavior and his resemblance to the composite sketch. She also showed police the labels of cardboard boxes used during her move to Medford with A. Crement. Police matched the address labels to those on the boxes used to cover the women's bodies. Police contacted California authorities and found that A. Crement was under investigation there for the October 3 disappearance of one of his friends. He was tracked down to a Stockton motel room and arrested on December 13, 1995. Upon arrest, A. Crement confessed to the Ellis and Abdil murders, claiming that his motive was robbery. According to A. Crement, after they refused his demand to write checks made out to him from their business account, he shot both women in the back of the head execution style, having bound and gagged them with duct tape and forced them to lie down in the back of Ellis's pickup truck. A. Crement also confessed to killing Scott George of Visalia, California, on October 3, 1995, and dumping his body down a mine shaft located outside his father's ranch near Stockton. On December 18, 1995, after A. Crement told his father where he had disposed of the body, police discovered George's remains at the bottom of an abandoned mine shaft in Calaveras County, California. A. Crement's statements about his motive have shifted over time. He has said that his intention was to rob Ellis and Abdil. However, the district attorney in the case noted that some of the evidence undermines robbery as the only motive, as A. Crement left the victims' purses, wallets, jewelry, cell phones and money at the scene. When Ellis' daughter arrived at the complex, she and Abdil's brother Dan Abdil spotted Abdil's unlocked vehicle at the scene, with her purse in plain view, which prompted them to call the police. Upon his arrest, A. Crement declared that he wished to be executed by lethal injection. By that time Oregon hadn't executed an inmate in over 30 years. 1 month later he entered a not guilty plea and his lawyers filed motions to overturn Oregon's death penalty. In August 1996, A. Crement wrote a letter to his hometown newspaper, the Stockton Record, stating that he had intended to rob Ellis and Abdil, and that knowing they were lesbians made it easier to kill them. He also wrote that he had killed Scott George, who was reportedly bisexual, because he had made a pass at him. A. Crement also claimed to be a victim of childhood sexual abuse. In his 3-page letter, A. Crement claimed he invented the robbery motive because he feared reactions from inmates who might learn that his murders were hate crimes against bi and homosexuals. Interviews and media reports confirm that A. Crement knew the women were lesbians. He had previous contact with Ellis 2 weeks before the murders, when he had been shown the same apartment where he met Ellis on December 4, 1995. A. Crement also acknowledged that he had asked Ellis, the victim with whom he spent the most time, if they were lesbians, and she said they were. Interviews indicated he may have spent some of the time before Abdil's arrival asking Ellis about details of their life. He said, "It made him sick to my stomach to learn that she was someone's grandma." He revealed that he knew Abdil was 54 years old, and that she and Ellis had been together for 12 years. A. Crement also told that there was a common thread to the Ellis and Abdil murders, and that of Scott George. A. Crement later recanted his earlier claim to have killed Ellis and Abdil because of their sexual orientation. He attributed his murders of Abdil and Ellis, as well as George, to a sudden urge, claiming that he hadn't felt like killing Ellis and Abdil until he'd bound and gagged them and forced them to lie down in the back of Ellis' truck. He also claimed to have killed George because he wanted to test the silencer he'd just built for his handgun. On September 11, 1996, A. Crement pleaded guilty to the murders of Ellis and Abdil. On October 27, 1997, an Oregon jury sentenced A. Crement to death by lethal injection for the murders of Roxanne Ellis and Michelle Abdil. A. Crement spoke almost jovially about how he killed the women and that he plotted from his Jackson County jail cell to kill his father after learning his parents helped lead police to his capture in California. On March 15, 2005, Oregon's High Court upheld A. Crement's death sentence. Ackerman was described as a very hard-working, extremely motivated and focused individual by his colleagues. While others partied during their military service, Robert James A. Crement worked 12-hour days and studied every night, earning his bachelor's degree in 2 years. A. Crement served in the Air Force and earned a master's degree in business administration from San Francisco's Golden Gate University, in half the time usually required. Later, he worked as a district operations manager at Roadway Trucking in Los Angeles. A. Crement did a great job and was in no danger of being fired or laid off. He was steadily promoted. A. Crement left his $50,000 a year job in May 1995 to start a software company. The company failed. He became frustrated by the failure of his software company, and his own failure to find a job and achieve financial security. His money frustrations were compounded by depression when he was rejected by a Las Vegas stripper named Alla Kosova, whom he considered to be his girlfriend, because he did not have enough money to visit her. At A. Crement's trial in 2007, 33-year-old Kosova, an immigrant from Russia, testified she had indeed cut off their relationship, which began in April 1995 when she was 20 to 21 years old, in August of the same year. She confirmed that they had a relationship, but said that it was purely financial in nature as far as she was concerned. Kosova said he spent up to $3,000 a weekend on her at the club where she danced, had bought her 2 pairs of diamond earrings, and occasionally took her out to dinner. Their relationship ended when the unemployed A. Crement spent his savings and retirement fund and maxed out his credit cards. When he called her and claimed that a man in New York City had stolen his money and he had none left, Kosova said she changed her number and severed ties with him. A. Crement surfaced again in Kosova's life when he returned to Las Vegas after the murders of Ellis and Abdil. He spent $5,000 from the sale of his car paying women to dance for her, which she said was a fantasy of his. After taking her to dinner on December 10, Kosova said A. Crement pulled out a gun and a stun gun as they sat in her truck and told her he had killed 3 people, 2 just that week. He unscrewed the silencer on the gun and showed her the blood inside. In February 2011, an Oregon court declared A. Crement so delusional that he could not assist in his death sentence appeal and his sentence was reduced to life without parole. Robert James A. Crement, 50, who a juror in his 1997 trial called the personification of evil, died of natural causes in prison on October 16, 2018. Medical examiner determined that there was nothing suspicious about A. Crement's cause of death.